Jamar said that he came to you last week and said that he wasn't ready. How rare is that for a 22-year-old to say, hey, Coach, I need another week?
Yeah, just good communication. But again, like all the things we mentioned, it was really good to get him out there last week in practice so that he can start to see himself do it. And then this week we'll just take it, again, day to day. Get him out there today and see how he feels tomorrow and see if he's got a chance to play on Sunday.
He said the plan is about the same amount of reps as last week. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
What's the communication process when a player is going through injury like? What is that like from your perspective, getting a feel of what they can and can't do?
Yeah, talking with the trainer, talking with Joey in the weight room, and then talking to the player. Just, again, taking all the information in from the medical side of things and then having the personal conversation with the player just to make sure we're always on the same page.
What's the personal, not specifically to Jamar, but how do you approach the personal conversation side of it?
Privately.
No, but like not with Jamar specifically, but what do you look for? Is there anything specifically you're looking for in a conversation like that?
Everything's different. Every injury's different. Every player's different. Time missed is different. What you're being asked to do in a game is different. So all those conversations are truly always different scenarios.
Zac, how important, it may seem obvious, but how important is it to make sure that when he gets back on the field, he's 100% and can do everything he was capable of doing before the injury?
Yeah, part of that will be impossible to know until you see him do everything, see it in a game-like atmosphere. And so, again, we'll just do our best to make sure he's comfortable and that we're comfortable with the scenario.
How different does the Chiefs' defense look this year to you?
A little bit different personnel. Some of the corners, they've got, 3 rookie corners that have played in there. But again, Spags has done a great job for a long time. They've got their things they believe in. Again, everybody evolves over the course of a year, the last time we saw them, but it's a great defense. They do a great job playing aggressively, putting pressure on people. And so, again, it's always a difficult challenge to play that defense.
What do you feel like they did to take Jamar away or kind of limit Jamar in the championship game compared to what they did in Week 17?
It's just a different game. The way the game played out differently. So, again, it's a new year, and we'll just see how it goes this Sunday.
The Chiefs GM spoke all offseason about wanting to make it a faster, more athletic, younger defense. Do you notice that? Can you feel that when you watch them on tape now?
Yeah, I thought last year's defense was really good. So this year's defense is pretty good as well. Again, different pieces, and they do a great job with their technique, with their disguises, with their effort, the urgency they play with. It's a really good defense, and they've played really well this year.
Are there certain markers throughout the season, regular season, that can tell the coach whether or not they're a championship caliber team?
I think that's difficult to say. You just want to continue to see improvement every step of the way from your team. That's what I've seen. Even in losses, there's things you take from that will make your team better. And so, again, it's just that's all we look for. It's hard to pinpoint. Are you a championship level team? That's impossible to say. There's no metrics you can put on that right now. It's just, are we continuing to improve? Do our guys have confidence in what we're asking them to do? Are we asking them to do the right things? Are we getting our guys as healthy as possible for each of these games? And those are really the questions we spend our time asking ourselves.
Just the volume of schematics and looks that Spagnuolo has in his repertoire, in his inventory. Is it amongst most in the league by one guy? Does he have more than a lot?
That's hard to say. I can't go through my head right now and picture all the teams we've played against. They do a good job seemingly limiting explosives. That's probably part of how they want to play because they've got an explosive offense, and some of the teams that are usually like that, they want to take away that and make it go the length of the field.
What impresses you the most over his great career of Andy Reid? What impresses you the most? A couple of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I think he's genuine. I think his players seemingly love playing and interacting with him. He gets the most out of them. His teams are always top-notch, competitive. He's certainly involved schematically over his time. Me coming up and he was in Philly, I was big West Coast. All right, Fox 2 double go. I don't see them running much of that anymore. It's a willingness to evolve to what your players can do well and getting the most out of them and kind of being cutting edge that way. And those are things he's always done. People have always stolen their stuff over the last 7-8 years. Things that Kansas City does, they're known for that. We have a concept called Arrowhead because we took it from them years ago. And so I think those are the things that he's really put his thumbprint on around the league.
Speaking of evolving, do you think your offense has evolved over the past month with Jamar out?
I don't know. We've had a chance to utilize guys different ways, maybe than you would have otherwise done. So guys have had an opportunity to step up. I wouldn't say it's a lot of new stuff we're doing. I think we're getting good efficiency out of the run game. We have a lot of confidence in that. Our protection has really done a nice job for us, giving Joe time. And the guys are making plays when their numbers are called. We're not drawing up new plays. There's always tweaks. There's always game plan things you're going to put in. But we believe in the stuff we believe in, and our guys have done a great job executing it.
Would you want to play Jamar if he has to be on a snap count, or would you rather him be at 100% before you put him on the field and be able to have him play for him?
Yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Again, we haven't even got through Wednesday practice yet, so we'll see how he does today, and then we'll make those determinations as we get closer to the game.
Has Mixon made it through a concussion protocol?
He's not fully through the protocol yet. He can't do that without having practiced.
Zach, it feels like, we compare this year to last year a lot, and I know you guys don't want to do that in a lot of situations and similarities, but this team has grown a lot this year. You got the same record at the same point as last year. How much has this team grown this year, and where have you seen the most growth, and what aspects of this team?
I mean, you've heard me up here every step of the way say we've got a great team, and even when we lost some games early, we could kind of see through the fog of what was coming at us and the level we were going to play at, because you'd seen it. Things we hadn't taken care of business fully. So it's no surprise that we've kind of got on this run right now. You got to reset yourself for this game and just focus on your next opponent, not worry about what you've done the last couple of weeks. But there is carryover with the confidence. Guys have confidence in themselves. Guys have confidence in those around them. So that gives us coaches, a lot of confidence to do our best to put them in a great position, knowing that we've got great players that, as long as we're giving them a shot, they've got a great chance to make it work for us.
Just to circle back on Mixon, that means are you expecting him to practice today?
Yes.
Zach, you mentioned the protection and how it's just gotten better. And so when you look at the offensive line, what's really impressed you about kind of their evolution, and how much fun do they just look like they're having together as a unit?
They're having a great time together. You see them. What was it, Monday morning I was in here, they're all sitting around their lockers with Joe. Pretty early in the morning, they must have just gotten their lift in. They eat dinner together. I sat in there on Saturday night, and his linemen were sitting in there eating dinner together. So they enjoy each other's company. I think that's genuine. Again, another thing I've said all year, I think they've been playing well in protection for a good part of the year. I don't care what the numbers say. We just watch the tape and evaluate the tape, and we've had confidence in them all year, and I think the stats are starting to even out. That would show you that. Not that matters to us, but we've got a lot of confidence that we can play how we want to play.
What kind of problems did Chris Jones present? I mean,
all of them. Yeah.
You guys have played some pretty good three techs. I mean, what makes him different than some of the other guys? Joe called him the best interior pass rusher in the league aside from Aaron Donald.
Yeah. We played some really good ones this year. We really have. He's up there because he's quick, he's smart, he's physical, he finishes at the quarterback, he's really good in the run game. He can turn it on and be a big force. So again, it's a tough task, and part of playing the Chiefs is they got good players around him too up front, particularly. So yeah, he's 95s. He's got your attention, but they've also got other players that are really good. They've drafted up there with some young players, and so it's a really good defense, and they get our attention.
They said a point of emphasis was to increase the team speed. You notice that on tape? Are they faster defense?
They're always fast. As you always feel like every pick that they make is speed. So yeah, it certainly stands out on tape. That's a big reason why they've got great players, but they're really explosive on offense. They stretch you with speed. They're always acquiring speed. Yeah, that's noticeable.
Defensively as well, though, they were wanting to upgrade that. Defensively, team speed is big as well. Yeah.
They're a good defense.
What do you remember about the conversation in the headset and the decision to go for it on 4th and 1 from the goal line in Week 17?
I don't know that there was much discussion. Those are decisions you got to make every week, and they've proven time and time again that if there's a second on the clock, they're gonna try to put themselves in a position. They've done a great job of that. If you can eliminate that, it's helpful. I've got full trust in our defense to be able to come up big in those moments. You know, it would have been exciting to see them get that opportunity last week. I know they were excited for it, and but it was just one of those moments you feel like you had to do. We had some good calls. There was penalties called. Guys might have had a chance to get open had there not been some of those, and it worked out for us.
Seems to be a trend in college football this year in Power 5 where a lot more head coaches are going for it, going down regardless of field position. Is that something you've caught wind of?
No.
Do you have to coach more aggressively against the Chiefs, just knowing like you got to post a number? Do you view it that way?
I don't necessarily say that that's true just because of who it is. You know, we have those discussions over the course of the week. Again, we've got a lot of confidence in us as a team, and so I know it's always made of the other team and what they can do, and that's you got to take that into account. But at the same time, our guys have done a great job rising to these challenges, and you know, so we've got a lot of confidence in them, and that's got to play into the decisions you make over the course of the game, or whether you're going forward or kicking it, or whatever those entails. You know, we'll have in-depth conversations as the week continues to go there.
How important is it, Zach? And obviously don't want to fall behind again to the Chiefs, but in both games last year you did. One thing Joe Burrow was saying is that you guys don't change who you are,
No.
even when you're down a touchdown or two.
Yeah.
How is that unique, or how rare is that?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Part of that, to me, yeah, there's confidence in our team that no matter the situation, we can find a way to get back in it and take a lead. Part of those were the experiences you learned your first 2 years here. You know, when we were in a lot of those games and they got further away from us because maybe change your style and you felt like you had to start doing something completely different, and there's still plenty of time on the clock, and so you're just trying to picture the number of possessions you still got left. If the game can play out how you're hoping it continues to, and so those were a lot of lessons I learned my first 2 years here of just kind of how to manage the game at that point and allow yourself to get back in it. If it seems like it's out of hand, there's still plenty of time. You watch games every week where teams are down, but not out, and they find a way to get back. And part of that is just being patient and understanding you got plenty of possessions left. We played the Chargers last year. I think we're down 22-0, 24-0, whatever it was. We didn't change one thing. We kept running the ball, and then one score at a time, you get yourself back in it. So those are lessons that we've learned through our experiences here.
Now, do you and or the team ever get kind of annoyed with the insinuation that comes with the Bengals have a tough schedule? Kind of the flip side of what that actually says?
No, not annoyed by that. But at the end of the day, we just have too much confidence in ourselves to really worry about that. Yes, you focus on your opponent, you create a game plan, you have to worry about their personnel and understand where their strengths and weaknesses are. But at the same time, take a step back and say, okay, if we put our guys in great position, we've got as good a players as anybody in the league. And so we've always got a chance in every game, no matter if it's here or there. And so I think at the end of the day, that's just what it comes down to. It's not annoyance. It's just making sure we all understand what we're about and what other teams have to worry about when they play us.
Zach, is there anything that sticks out from the AFC Championship last year after the game, a special memory? I'm not sure if you lit up a cigar with the team at all. I don't think you did, but just any kind of special memory from the aftermath of that when you were allowed to soak it in for a few moments?
Yeah, I think having my dad, my sons in the locker room, I don't think they were allowed to be, but they were. So that was cool because you hadn't had that, because of COVID. So those cool moments, getting to see those kids in that locker room with cigar smoke in their hair. I'm sure Mom was not happy about that. But those are, I got a picture from that. Jermaine Pratt took a picture for us of me and my sons, my dad. And so I've still got that. So that's a moment that stands out for me personally.
Is that a picture you have up in your house now?
Might just be my phone, to be honest with you. But I've got it,
Zach, does it feel like more than a month? I mean, this is the first time all year getting back-to-back home games. How great does that feel to finally getting your place back in the jungle?
We love that. We love playing here. I love running out of this tunnel and being in front of our fans. Comfortable is not the right word. It's just a familiar. We've got a lot of confidence playing here. We take a lot of pride in playing on the road also, but there's just something about playing in front of your home base that's we take a lot of pride in, and it does feel like we haven't played here in a long time. It's felt that way several times this year. It feels like we just go on the road for a long time, and then we come back home, and our guys are excited about that.
Is there a point
in either game, or both games, I guess, the regular season game and the championship game, where you said, okay, the worm's starting to turn, here we come? Was there anything that comes to mind as you reflect back on those games?
It's just finding a stop. If a game gets to that point, having a play on offense that gets you back into it, finding a stop on defense to where you can just regain some momentum and then just take it into the next drive, offense and defensively. And that's all that this team does, really. Unfortunately, we've put ourselves in that situation a lot of times over the last 2 years, and we always find a way out of it. So there's no panic. That's a good thing. That's what you do take from that experience, is there's no panic from our guys, and they know the recipe. So again, we don't ever want to put ourselves in that, but there's a confidence we can play in any type of game.
When Mahomes gets out of the pocket left or right, the field doesn't really shrink for him. I mean, how rare is that for a quarterback that can use the whole field no matter where he's at, and what kind of challenge is that for you?
It's a big challenge. It's hard to replicate because you're right. He can make any throw from any body position to any spot in the field, and a lot of things that are QB no-nos, he's going to do, and make him work because he can, because he's different than athletically and physically than a lot of people that play the position. And so, as DBs, you got to just be on it every second of the play and be relentless up front, stick with him. And, of course, everybody knows that. That's everyone's plan. That's why the great quarterbacks are great quarterbacks, because they find a way to get it done.
What are some of those QB no-nos that you see him kind of do that work?
Well, throwing back across your body, across the middle of the field, him and Kelly. He does it, and he makes it work, and turns into explosive touchdowns for him. I've seen it a million times happen. So, again, there's always the exception to the rules. Just because you teach that way in high school and college and entry-level quarterbacks in the league doesn't mean it applies to everybody.
Yeah, is he a guy that if you're teaching a young quarterback the art of quarterback and mechanics, watch Patrick Mahomes, I guess?
Well, these guys, they're just some of the play styles have evolved. All the different arm angles and that he can throw with is really impressive. Does a great job with his eyes, and so again, there's next level stuff that a lot of these guys, Joe included, Patrick's one of them certainly, that they can do that not everybody has the freedom to try.
Does he always have Travis Kelce as the guy, and how do you limit his touches?
Everybody goes in with a plan to limit his touches. He's got a great knack. I don't know their playbook. I've never been in that system, but there is an awareness there where he and Patrick are on the same page of probably breaking off a route, finding the zone. That really takes chemistry and experience to the next level, and so he's going to get touches. That's difficult to cover all the time. And on top of that, they've added great players around him. They've acquired guys that they've drafted. I know Mikol's out. But there's a lot of guys that they've invested in, that they've added to the mix, that have just come in and haven't skipped a beat and allowed them to be as productive as possible. They got a good stable of backs as well, and they've done a great job with that offensive line. So again, just everybody that they've brought into the building there on offense has turned out to be productive for them, and that's a product of them believing in the system, understanding the system. The quarterback probably helping everybody elevate their level of play as well, and they get the most out of those guys.
Is it more challenging to prepare for an offense like that that's led by Mahomes? You still have a star in Kelce.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of guys sprinkled in.
Sure. They've consistently been, top 3 offense in the NFL for, I'll call it 5 years. I don't know. But this year they're at the tops of everything: touchdown passes, explosives, efficiency, all that kind of stuff. They're always up there. They've got a great offense. They've got a Hall of Fame head coach, Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame tight end. They got a lot of good pieces over there, and they do a great job with them.
Andy Reid's creativity, particularly low red zone creativity, is pretty unusual. How difficult do you think that was when you first started bucking the trend on that? Not a lot of people did that. He was kind of a pioneer in that regard.
I know for us that comes from just confidence in your guys of trying new things that maybe seem a little out there, maybe haven't been put on tape yet. I'm sure they've been put on tape in some era. It's just not. So that's just confidence in your guys, and that's what you can see that they have in their guys.